We're live. We're live. Welcome, welcome. Give a few minutes for people to pile in and see if we can get this horse out the barn. So, today's topic is an interesting one: Palestinian hostages. I have a unique perspective because my cousin used to be married to a Palestinian, so I can tell you firsthand how they treat women. It's abhorrent. They're the Muslim religion, and she went from being independent and happy-go-lucky and doing things for herself to after she was married. Well, I have to ask my husband if I can do that because, according to their religion, the woman who is the wife is not to go anywhere without the express permission of her husband. Think about that for a second. And I used to go to their house for get togethers and stuff, and it was always a unique experience, but not always a good experience because they only served food that he liked. They only served food that he liked. Anything that her or her family liked was not even considered. And I weighed 238 pounds, and I consider myself a foodaholic. And a lot of the food that they had tasted like garbage, had no flavor, no seasonings. And another thing at those parties, you would see white American women, and there was 30 Palestinian men. Each one of those men was married to a white American woman. There were no blacks, there were no Hispanics, there were no Latinos. Yeah, I was surprised because, I usually like Mediterranean food because it has good flavor, but this had no flavor. And, each of those men treated their wives disgustingly. Like one girl had twins and she was feeding one of the twins, and he comes up, literally drops the other one in her lap and said, "Change him." And she said, "I'm feeding whatever the kid's name was. Can't you do it this once?" He said, "No, it's your job to take care of the kids. You better do your job or else." I am white, but I'm English, Irish, French, and American Indian. I have Lakota Sioux and Cherokee in my background. Hey, Brooklyn. And so I know firsthand, how these Palestinian men think of women. Um, we did a DNA test. My brother did the one that does maternal and paternal. Very interesting. We have been told for years that my mom was part Cherokee Indian because one of her relatives, Sarah Brazier, was kidnapped by the Indians. and that when Daniel Boone and his brother Squire went to rescue her, it was several months later, like 5 months later. They said when they got back to the fort, Squire immediately married her. And my sister couldn't put two and two together. I said, well, she'd been with the Indians for 5 months. Don't you think she could be a little bit pregnant? That's why he immediately married her. Well, what's your proof? It's like, I just told you. I love my sister, but her and I go round and round on certain things, but that's neither here nor there. But the Palestinians are an interesting lot. They want you to think, yes, they're warm and they're open and they're loving, but really behind the scenes, they're really not. They're very strict. You know, the wife is supposed to do what the husband says, that kind of thing. And also, something to think about. Um, did you know that in Palestine it is illegal to be gay? Not only is it illegal, it's an immediate death sentence. And you have people here that are obviously gay chanting, Free Palestine, Free Palestine. It's like, if you only knew, right? So I've got just a couple of video clips today, and then we'll talk about, yeah, Haram. Yeah. I've got just 3 video clips today. Shutting down TikTok really messed things up for today. Oops, wrong button. But we'll get through it. That was the hostages. I gotta fix something here. There we are. I'm still learning how to use the software. Yes, I agree with that, Brooklyn. I'm just trying to share my experience with one of the, what I would call one of the bad ones. Um, there's more that I can share about him. Um, he worked at McDonald's. He was a manager in the marketing department. And one of the girls that he worked with was a very gifted artist. She could draw with tablets and stuff, and she had a presentation that she showed. He stole that presentation and claimed it for his own. And when she came and confronted him, he told her that she should be at home with her children, that she had no right to work. Isn't that crazy? Telling somebody they have no right to work. And she challenged him about her work. Right, they were. And he said, "You don't have any right to claim anything." That's pretty disturbing, isn't it? Telling a talented, gifted artist that they have no right to claim their own artwork, their own hard work that they did. She sued and she got awarded like $10 million for toxic work environment and uh, theft of services and actually stealing her artwork. Yeah, he up and moved to Mississippi. I don't know where in Mississippi. I don't really care. I don't want. And when him and my cousin were getting divorced, she had to take her passport and her kid's passport to her lawyer because he told her he would pick up the kids from school and be on an airplane and be in Palestine before she could even get the report made, and that she would never find her kids again, that she didn't deserve to have kids. That's awful. And I know that not all of them are like that, but I think we need to share when ones are bad like that so that we can help them weed out the bad ones, if you know what I mean. Wow. So I've got another video for us. Let me play the second video. There's just three today.
Ceasefire deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas after 15 months of war and the taking of those hostages, many from different countries, but certainly America on that list. The hostages are in part of this agreement. Let's go straight away to Trey Yinks, who is live for us in Tel Aviv. Trey?
Yeah, Harris, this is breaking news right now. According to a source familiar with the ongoing talks, a ceasefire deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas. I do want to just read to you what this source just sent. Quote, Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal reached following the Qataris meeting with Hamas negotiators for a final push following last-minute additions by the group. There were some reports that indicated Hamas officials were trying to push the Israelis to change their position about a key corridor that sits along the Gaza-Egypt border called the Philadelphia Corridor. Now, I am told that the Qatari prime minister himself was in the negotiating room and pushed these Hamas officials to accept the agreement on the table. What we are looking at here that will be signed tonight, a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas that will implement a pause in fighting between the two sides for 42 days. This is a 6-week agreement that will ultimately see 33 hostages released from Hamas captivity in Gaza. We are told by a number of sources some of those hostages were killed and their bodies will be returned to Israel, but at least 23 of them are believed to be alive. This is critical information for the Israelis. They have been negotiating over the past several weeks, trying to get together the details of such an agreement. Now, they will have to give up a number of Palestinian prisoners in exchange for these hostages that are being held inside Gaza. In a briefing earlier this week, I was told by a senior Israeli government official that hundreds of Palestinian prisoners will be released as part of this agreement that will ultimately be implemented in 3 separate phases. We're also told that if phase 1 moves forward as planned, that by day 16 of the ceasefire agreement, intense discussions about phase 2 will start, at which point they will move forward with implementing phase 2 later on. And then ultimately, if everything goes as planned, Israeli forces would withdraw from the Gaza Strip. All of the hostages and the bodies being held by Hamas would be released. And you would have an end to this more than 15-month conflict that erupted here in the Middle East on October 7th.
This is a tough war. And had we just give them what they asked for when they asked for it, this would have been over a long time ago. That's my feelings. Yeah, there are tons of tunnels, and it's rumored, and I got to say rumored, that the rest of the hostages are unalived. What's not true, Brooklyn? Brooklyn? Um, and think about this for a second here. I was thinking about this last night when I was doing some prep work for the stream today. If Donald Trump finds out that all of our hostages are unalived, I think that there will be hell on earth. Hey, Tech, how's Tech? I think if our hostages are dead, or unalived rather, that there will be hell on earth. Because here's something that a lot of people don't know, that a lot of the Palestinians, well, I can't say a lot, the bad Palestinians, let's put it that way, are taught from the time they're 2 years old to unalive the Jews. 2 years old. The cartoons are all about the cartoons are all about soldiers going to unalive Jews. So you don't know which kids saw this stuff, which kids believe this stuff. Hey, Laugh. How's Laugh? And it's just really disturbing. You know, um, the negotiator from the Trump side, he told them if our hostages are unalived, we will leave no stone unturned. We will find you wherever you go. We will not stop. We will go to the ends of the earth because we love our citizens and we protect our citizens. And so they said, well, we'll release 33 today. But then after they signed the deal said, but 10 of them are unalived. Hey, Survivor, how's Survivor? Got my whole crew here. This is exciting. We are talking about the hostages, and you know, I don't have high hopes. If our hostages are returned, I will be very happy, but I don't have high hopes because I know the Palestinians' background. I am doing great today. My gout in my knee is flared up, but we'll get through that. That's life. Life happens. Yeah, and something about else about the way Trump works. When he met with the leader of the Taliban, and they were negotiating the handover of Afghanistan, right? The media is not going to tell you the truth, Brooklyn. Media will not tell you the truth. Anyhow, um, I I don't have high hopes that the rest of the hostages are alive. I Let me rephrase that. I hope that they are alive, but I don't believe that. Hey, Chadigi, how's Jock? Hey, Julianne. Um, right. We, the people, are the new news media. What we report gets reported to our friends, our family. The news media tells us lies. The news media tells us lies. Like the news media said, they're getting 33 hostages. on YouTube, they told us that they're getting 3 Israeli hostages in return for 90 Palestinian prisoners. And the Palestinian prisoners that are being held are terrorists. And so then also reported that of the 33 that were returned, 10 of them are unalived. And I was just pointing out that if Donald Trump finds out the American hostages are unalived, he will unleash hell on earth. He will find them wherever they go. Yeah, MM, where are you? He can have our SEAL Team 6 go find them wherever they are. He can have the CIA track them down. You know, the CIA is the one that does the covert operations. And an interesting thing that I started to tell about when Trump met with the head of the Taliban, they were negotiating the release of basically turning over Afghanistan to the Taliban. And the leader of the Taliban told Trump, "Why did you just hand me a picture of my house?" Trump looked at me and said, "You're a smart guy, figure it out." He's telling him, "Look, I can find you. This is where you live. I could blow up your house." But he does it in a very subtle way, you know? Yeah, tell him to reach out to me. I'll help him. No problem. Yeah, he does. And one thing, he cares about American citizens and he cares about our soldiers. And that's what he told that leader of the Taliban before he handed him a picture of his house. He said, "If you harm one hair on the head of any American, I will find you," and handed him a picture of his house. Yeah, most of the commanders, top commanders, have been unalived. And the Hamas leaders that were at the deal were not going to sign. And the prime minister of Qatar basically told them, "Look, you need to sign or else." Hey, Chloe, I haven't figured out the split screen yet. Hey, Mookie. Um, TikTok will be back up tomorrow afternoon. Trump sent a letter to TikTok today saying he's signing an executive order giving them a 90-day extension on the time limit. And there's already been a company called something AI. I'm not good with these tech companies that has offered to buy TikTok, and Kevin O'Leary has put his rubber stamp on it that he will invest his money to help. Yeah, you can log in, but you can't do much. And it'll be that way until tomorrow afternoon when Trump signs the executive order giving TikTok a 90-day reprieve, because Kevin O'Leary is part of a AI company, among other things that he does. And that AI company has offered to buy TikTok. And Kevin O'Leary said the main stopping point has been yeah, I was able to log in, but I wasn't able to do anything. I just got a screen from the, I guess, the CEO of TikTok explaining that they were, working on getting things up and running and blah, blah, blah. But I've got one last video to play for y'all. So let's get that done.
This is it. The deal is done, and we are now waiting, as you say, for the mediators in Doha. The Qatari PM will be holding a press conference, and we await now the official announcement. But to think that this has taken 15 months when most of those involved in these talks thought that it would take perhaps a matter of days, perhaps weeks, to get all those hostages back. It's taken 15 agonizing months, agony for the civilians in Gaza who have endured relentless airstrikes, agony for the hostages who, for the most part, and presumably have been held in tunnels, and agony for the family members of those hostages who, in some cases live just a few miles away from Gaza. They go to bed at night, wake up in the morning, not knowing if their loved ones are dead or alive. But here we are, and we are waiting for the Qatari Prime Minister to lay out the details of this proposal that has been approved and accepted by both sides. What we know, according to the Reuters news agency, is that, as has been reported over the past few days, we know that in the first stage of this deal, which would last 6 weeks, 33 hostages will be released on humanitarian ground. It was 34 up until last week. One more hostage was found dead in a tunnel. They are going to be all women, children, and civilians over the age of 50, those who are ill and severely injured. What we now know is that in return, in exchange for the release of those hostages, hundreds and hundreds of Palestinian detainees will be released. Now, it's worth pointing out here that since October 7th, 2023, Israel has arrested thousands of people in the West Bank, many of them held in what's called administrative detention. They have not been charged, they've not been tried, and Israel stands accused of amassing all these Palestinians. just for this moment to be able to release them in this deal. So what we understand, according to various reports in Israeli media as well as the Reuters news agency, is that for every civilian civilian hostage who will be released, 30 Palestinians will be released in exchange. For every female soldier, 50 Palestinian prisoners will be released. Now, according to a senior Israeli official, they said to me that they know that there was a price to pay for the hostages, and they know that there was a, quote, special price to pay for the female hostages. So hundreds are expected to be released. And during this period, there'll be a gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces from central Gaza, from the more densely populated areas, to a buffer zone along the border. They will also withdraw from what's called the Netzarim corridor, which runs east to west and effectively splits the Gaza Strip in half, allowing for the hundreds of thousands of Gazans who have been displaced back to northern Gaza.
So I couldn't find a lot of videos like I normally find because I guess because TikTok was in the process of shutting down yesterday.
Ceasefire deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas after 15 months of war and the taking.
Wrong button again. Well, I like TikTok because TikTok lets me download short video clips, like under 3 minutes, and the content creator gets to choose whether they want their videos shared or not shared. I don't know of any other um, social media company that allows that. X doesn't allow you to download video clips. Yeah, IDF has the best intelligence in the world, is right. I use it, but I use it to be able to share video clips with y'all. You know, yeah, I agree with that, Brooklyn. I use TikTok about the same way I use X. I read the post. If I like the post, I'll repost it. If I don't, I move on. If it has an interesting video clip that I can use and share with you guys, I'll download the video clip if the content creator has allowed that. Right. I sent you a message on X this morning. Laugh. I'm supposed to be able to do it because um, when I do my live streams, I live stream direct to X, and there's supposed to be a way that I can pull up my X feed. Wonder if this is it. It says view X on Twitter. View on X. Nope, that didn't work. See, a couple of interesting points on this whole TikTok thing. Um, Elon has put in a bid to buy TikTok. Well, thank you, Mookie. I try to be on top of things. Um, I can tell you what Streamlike is like because I use it. Um, I find it difficult to learn. It has good features, like if I wanted to, have one of you guys come up and talk and have a conversation, I just hit the invite button and it creates a link and drop it in the chat, copy it in the chat. Where on some of these other softwares, you have to have Zoom and you have to figure out how to use Zoom with the streaming software. And I don't think that's, I don't think that you should have to make your listeners have an extra. No, no, YouTube doesn't charge me, but StreamYard charges me. StreamYard charges me to have their software. I pay $49 a month. Right. The only thing YouTube charges is for premium, which I have YouTube Premium because I hate their ads. Um, Thank you, Laugh. I made it to 500 on TikTok. And then now they've changed things. That figures, you know what I mean? Where it has to be 500, yeah, $49 a month to have StreamYard. And the only reason I keep StreamYard is because I can stream directly to YouTube and directly to X, and I can even do to Facebook if I wanted to, all at the same time. I can do up to, I think it's five, either four or five. But I'm happy with just doing YouTube and X for right now. Yeah, yeah, I can stream to up to four platforms. I have Rumble, but I haven't quite figured out how to be able to stream to Rumble. I know that you're supposed to be able to do it. I know other content creators that do it. I just have to get around to asking one of them, hey, how do you do that? So I'm glad for the hostages that came home today. What bothers me is that now, thank you, Laugh. Now, they're not planning on releasing the rest of the hostages. They said today that Hamas will now start to negotiate for the second round of hostages, and that they expect that the negotiations will take 16 weeks. I find that to be a little bit shady. Here, let's fix this. I find that to be a little bit shady because because I hope I'm wrong on this, but I don't think that the rest of the hostages are alive. And I think that's why they're holding off. Yeah, they agreed to a ceasefire for 6 weeks. But now they're saying that the phase two will start and they expect it to take 16 weeks and that they won't release the American hostages until phase four. That's problematic to me, you know, unless they think that Trump ain't going to do nothing, which they're dead wrong. You know, that's one thing, whether you like Trump or not, he cares about the American citizens and he will go get them. He will go get them. Where Biden did not want to go get them, did not want to upset them, blah, 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 blah. Trump told them twice. He told them after he got elected, like the day after, he said, "You have until I am sworn in to release all the hostages." And that apparently fell on deaf ears. Right, Julianne. Um, Trump told them last week, if you don't release all the hostages by the time I am sworn in on Monday, I, he said, the Middle East will be hell on earth. He said, I will not stop until every American is hostages free. And that's what we need. We need a president with a backbone that cares about our citizens, that if they get, you know, captured, he's going to go get them. He ain't going to let no tin horn general tell him, you can't do this, you can't do that. He's going to say, go get them. And something else that bothers me. There was a report on YouTube this morning. Joe Biden moved out of the White House yesterday, and that at noon today, he was taken off on a 2-week paid vacation to Italy. And Merrick Garland left the DOJ on Friday. Well, that's not a big deal because DOJ isn't open on weekend. But Austin left the Pentagon on Thursday. So until Pete is confirmed, there's no Secretary of Defense. And to me, that's troubling. And the rumor is, I use rumor lightly, that all of the hearings that were held last week, that their vote to confirm is going to be tomorrow morning. Which I hope it is, because the last thing we want is taken. Yeah, that's what I would love to know. And something that Speaker Johnson pointed out yesterday is that some of the um, pardons that Biden signed are illegal because there was no recommendation made for a pardon, and there has to be a recommendation made. Yeah, the Pelosi clan. Right. How can you sign a blanket pardon? So the way pardons are supposed to work is the Attorney General is supposed to look at the file and give a recommendation whether the person should be pardoned or not. Yellow, podium blue. Um, and from my understanding from the report from Mike Johnson yesterday, a lot of these pardons that was not done, so that makes the pardon not legal. And he said they would investigate this to see if there was any wrongdoing. Right. She could have issued a blanket pardon because she is mentally competent. The issue is that now many of his staff and people around him are saying Joe has not been mentally competent for at least 3 years. Nope. Biden moved out of the White House yesterday, and at noon today, he's heading to Italy on vacation for 3 weeks. Mookie, you're smoking blunts, huh? So General Milley been begging Biden for a pardon, didn't get it, apparently. Neither did Cheney. Yeah, he still has pardon power until till noon tomorrow. And I think what I'm going to do for us tomorrow at noon is I can turn my camera. I'll show you guys what I can do. Uh, Camera, back camera. And see, I can point the camera right at the TV or the iPad right at the TV, and we could watch. I'll pick a YouTube channel that lets us share so we don't have to worry about stupid ads and that kind of stuff. Hey, FFS, welcome. You got that perp haze, huh? Yeah, FFS, we are talking about the Palestinian um, hostages. And I told these guys earlier that I have personal experience with Palestinians. My cousin used to be married to a Palestinian. He treated her like she was dirt. She couldn't leave the house without him being with or having his permission. She had permission to go to school to become a neonatal RN and make $60 an hour. And she never liked her job, but she stayed there because he told her to. And I also told them about going to their house for get-togethers. And yeah, I was a truck driver for 25 years. I know how to do some shit sometimes, you know. You do what you have to do, right? But we would go to their house for get-togethers, and he only allowed food that he approved of. That because of his religion, well, I got this at the the tax store right up the street here. This is a $250 hat, and it has worn well. It a is a George Strait Resistol. My hat's off to the ladies in the room. Swoosh. But he treated her like garbage. And when we would go to get-togethers, there was a strange thing that nobody else there put a finger on, but I did. Every one of the girls there was a white American girl married to a Palestinian. There were no blacks, there were no Hispanics, no Asians. Everyone was white. And they all treated their wives like they were trash. I told the story earlier of one of the girls had twins, and she was feeding one of the twins. The husband comes up and literally drops the other child right in her lap and says, "Change your child." And she said, "I'm busy. I'm feeding whatever the child's name was. Can't you help out just this once?" He said, "No, it's your job to take care of the children. So do your job or else." I thought, wow, that guy's a jerk. You bet. Keep my head on straight is right. Don't get twisted, as they say. But it's interesting. Yeah, it was really sad. And the story gets worse, Laugh. Her husband worked for McDonald's in the marketing department. He was a manager. One of the girls that worked for him was a very gifted artist, very talented. And she drew up an entire display to do as a mural at one of the McDonald's stores. He stole that from her. Then, when she confronted him about it, he told her, "You should be at home with your husband having babies because that's what a woman's job is. You don't have the right to work outside the house unless your husband tells you." I thought, wow, what a jackass. Then she confronted him on stealing her intellectual property. He said, "You don't have the right to own anything. You're a woman. Women have no rights." I thought, wow, that's really disturbing. Well, she sued. She won $10 million because he not only stole her intellectual property, he created a toxic work environment and treated her, like she was subhuman. That all went into the civil suit, and she won. Yeah, I was just I gave them earlier a background on my view of Palestinian men because of my experience dealing with my cousin's husband. If you're a man, you're the greatest thing on the block. It was Illinois, and he moved to Mississippi to get out of paying. I don't know how that worked, but that's for another stream. Anyhow, I wanted to share with you all how Palestinian men feel about women. And it's not, I should say, some Palestinian men. I shouldn't say all Palestinian men because there are some good Palestinian men. You know, yeah, he worked for McDonald's in the corporate office as a manager. He was a marketing manager. And his views on women were basically that women are trash. That's that's my opinion. That women have no rights. Women only do what their husband, quote, allows them to do. Right. It's a cultural issue, but something interesting. We'll get to the the hostages in just a second. Um, the it's interesting. Well, I don't know. Um, he doesn't work at McDonald's anymore. He fled the state of Illinois and went to Mississippi. Yeah, I watch what I buy from the store really close. Right. He got sued for toxic work environment, stealing intellectual property, belittling a female worker, and two other things. And she won. And the payout, from what I could find, was $10 million. Yep. No, FFS. He was the one who was the manager. He stole her intellectual property. Then he went on a tirade and told her that she didn't deserve to work, that she should be at home with her husband, and all this other BS. I don't know, Mookie. I wish I knew. I'd invite her on and say, hey, come on the podcast. Let's talk. Um, anyhow, back to the hostages. Now, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but I hope that the hostages are alive, but I don't think they are. Because why would the leader of Hamas, after President Trump saying he had until he got signed into office to hold on? Yeah, that was my daughter. I'll have to call her after we're done. But I don't. My gut feeling is that Hamas set this up this way because they know the rest of the hostages aren't alive. That's just a horrible gut feeling that I have. Yeah, that's my daughter's ringtone. Anyhow, back to the hostages. Like I started to say, my daughter is moving back to Montana, which I am so excited. She likes the western part of the state, and I like the eastern part of the state. But hey, at least she'll be here. Yeah, go and sub up for the other channels. Oops, hit the wrong button. Yeah, she's very talented. My daughter is. She's a phlebotomist. She currently works at the University of Florida, and they are really, Florida is really screwing her over on her money. Okay, she's got certifications. She can do um, blood sticks in the fingers. She can do them in the back of the hand. She can process the blood. She's teaching other phlebotomists from the college how to do it. And they're paying her $18 an hour. And here in Montana, a phlebotomist fresh out of college with no certification gets 25 an hour. 25 an hour. And she's getting 18 with all them certifications. Go sub up to Mookie if you're not subbed up to him. Yeah, only 18. And when she looked online at Billings Clinic in Billings for her certifications, they're paying $38 an hour. Yeah, some other countries, they really don't pay their people well. But then they don't have the conveniences that we have either. But back to the hostages. Um, I really do hope that the rest of the hostages are alive. I come on Mookie's channel sometimes, laugh. Yeah, I usually go to bed like at 11 o'clock, 11:30. Dog usually goes out last time at 11 o'clock. That's 11 p.m. And then he stays out there for a half an hour. Yeah, the issue is YouTube sometimes will unsubscribe you from a channel And then you're sitting there waiting for the person to post their next video, and then you go back and find out that they unsubscribed you. No, I don't go at 3 a.m. I go at like when he started his streams at like 11 o'clock. I'll go and stay on for a half an hour and then get off and go take care of business, get the dog in, get ready for bed and stuff. I did a whole live on Christine Ohm, hour long. Yeah, YouTube message with notifications. But something interesting, I'll tell you all about Christine Ohm in a second here. Um, the CEO of Google is going to Donald Trump's inauguration tomorrow and going to sit at the table close to Donald Trump. That I find that kind of stuff interesting. Um, anyhow, Christine Ohm, the mainstream media, I talked about this on the live stream, bashed her for killing a puppy. Well, that's not the story. That's not the real story. The real story, it was a year and a half old dog that had killed her chickens, killed her goats, killed calves, bit several of her family members, bit four different trainers. And when it bit the fourth trainer, she said, "That's enough." She pulled out her pistol and put it down. I'm usually on when I see him on at like 11 p.m. and I'll go on and stay on for like a half an hour. But I think that's interesting how the media lies to us, how they lie. You know what I mean? You know, that dog killed several of her chickens, killed several of her goats, killed several of her calves. She's a rancher. She makes her living off of the chickens, the goats, the calves. And this didn't happen last year like the media said it did. Her kids are in college. It happened when her kids were little kids. So we're talking like it happened like 20 years ago. Mookie stays on until 2 or 3 a.m. And it's interesting how the media lies. We've allowed them to get away with lying to us for years. I have recently stopped listening to a lot of media. I've recently stopped listening to a lot of media. I got to go let the dog in. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Guardian dogs are there to protect the livestock from coyotes, wolves, whatever the predator may be. I had to go and let the dog in laugh. Well, I don't blame him for staying up late. He might work the afternoon shift and not get home until late. My brother used to work third shift. My oldest brother, he was a certified diesel mechanic. Oh, the hostages were released today, 33 of them. And the three Israeli hostages, they gave them something to drink and took them right to the hospital, which to me that doesn't sound good, but I don't know. Yeah, back to the hostages. I think this is just my gut feeling, and I hope I'm wrong, but they agreed to let these 33 go. They signed the deal, and then afterwards told them, but 10 of them are unalive. Yeah, but like I said, I hope that they're alive, but because of the way they did this, that they released 33 of them, and then after they signed the paperwork, they said, but only 23 are alive. So that leaves you to think that maybe he's trying to say that this is the only ones that are alive. Did I did I miss something? You know what I mean? When they said that only 23 are alive. You know what I'm saying? Is all the rest of them not alive? Yeah, it's very sad. And the the Hamas leaders better, or ones that are there, better hope that the American hostages are alive. Because that's one thing that Trump doesn't like. He doesn't like when somebody from another country like a terrorist, whatever, harms an American citizen. It really upsets him. And this is just so sad. You know, they said this has been going on for 15 months. And the behind the scenes, one of the people said that it's been going on this long because the Biden administration was the one walking away. This, he said this deal could have been done 9 months ago, but Biden told them he wanted to wait till after the election, and they walked away. Yeah, we don't want Trump to get mad because if those American hostages are not alive, he will search to the ends of the earth to find every one of them because it really upsets him when American citizens get harmed. You know, when Laken Riley got unalived, to this day, Joe Biden nor Kamala Harris have called her family. To this day, they have not called her family. Donald Trump called her mom like several days after it hit the news. He called right away, and he has kept in touch with her. That tells me that he cares about people. You know what I mean? He cares about people, and he cares about service members. And it's just very, very sad. This whole thing is sad. Now, tomorrow, we're going to be doing the inauguration. Um, it goes on at noon. Um, Got to figure out how to share a stream before then. I'll send Kat a message on X, talk to her about it. But that's all I got for y'all today. Make sure I get the right one. Nope, wrong one. There, that one. The one that says thank you. And we will talk to you tomorrow. I'll try to get on like quarter till tomorrow. And we will see you tomorrow. Um, Noon Eastern, so that means I got to be on at 10 o'clock my time. I will talk to you all then. Love you guys. Bye.